Hey, good morning, class, and welcome everyone back to our online class for this week. This week is week 4, and we move on to topic 2, which is foreign policy, academics versus practitioners. So, in our discussion today, in this session, and on Friday, we'll talk about how the world of academics is different from the world of practitioners, so whether there are similarities or differences. So, we are privileged to have a practitioner in our midst, Mr. Ako, and he'll share with us his views about the topic. And also, I'm happy that he's with us and he has joined us for the last 5 years. And I'm sure many of you have gone through the recordings that we have done over the years, and you've picked up some of the points that he has mentioned. And that will broaden your understanding about the world of the practitioners. It's a good thing now. This year we have a website for the Department of Foreign Affairs, so that also provides another platform to help us understand how the Foreign Service operates and what they do on a daily basis. So, without further delay, I'll hand over the virtual microphone to Mr. Ako. But before that, we will have questions and comments later after his presentation. So, if you have any comments, questions, note down. We'll go back to last week's presenters as well. Those who participated in the session on Friday, we ran out of time, and also there was a technical issue, and all of us went offline. So we'll start off with Valerie and then the next person. So sorry, Mr. Ako, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
No worries. Thank you very much, Mr. Egger, and good morning, everyone. I'll start immediately, and then we can have more time for Q&As. Okay. As you can see, this is our. Everyone can hear me, yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. Yes, so this is our conversation for this session, the roles of academics versus practitioners in foreign policy making. So academia in the modern times have always contributed to foreign policy making through research and publications, and providing advisory supports to support to policymakers. So other platforms that exist for academics include those for debate on foreign policy and providing training for foreign policymakers. Practitioners have and will always be the ones that will shoot from the hip. Most of their work will be based on their experiences, and very rarely will they do research for evidence-based purposes, and that's a fact. Still, their contributions to foreign policy making is equally of critical importance, simply for the fact that both the academic and the practitioner will always complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. Simply one cannot exist without the other. If you think that there is a balance, say the practitioner has more knowledge than the academy, then that is wrong. It's a wrong attitude to foreign policy. So there is always a relationship between the international relations practitioner and the academic, and people will always ask, does it matter? You see, Paul Sharp of the American Foreign Service Association mentions that practitioners are not interested in what the people who study international relations have to say about them. They'll often just look at a book and ask, what's in it, and one of the biggest examples and the evidence of that all is the foreign policy book, which we are having our conversations around. I bet you 90% of the foreign service officers have never read it or have considered it not important. They think that their experience will carry them through. You see, practicing diplomats, on the other hand, instead of reflecting on their own professional experience, they tend to describe the great international episodes they were privileged to witness in the course of their careers, or what they call a pontificate on the great international issues of the present and what should be done about them. So it would appear at times that even diplomats are not interested in the nitty-gritty work of diplomacy itself. Instead, most of them would very much like to be statesmen, orchestrating and presiding over some glorious international escapade. And they leave the operationalization of those escapades to excuse me, my apologies. And they leave those glorious escapades to people in other agencies to domesticate them. So theory versus practice. Theory versus practice. No, where is the middle ground? No. See, the middle ground is a very interesting term, because which side of the middle ground? What actually is middle? You see, the PNG practitioners right up to this September, in the absence of an updated foreign policy white paper, have their own interpretation of national interest. With the recent international engagements, for instance, what instances of national interest were pursued by the practitioners? See, others are still trying to ascertain whether it's practical to teach practical diplomacy at universities in the absence of foreign policy white paper. Again, both the academia and the practitioner both will gain from each other's strength. One classic example, I always use this example, is my interview as a foreign service officer back in February 1992. You see, I simply didn't know what a foreign policy was. What foreign policy was, despite taking international relations, I got a B at university. Foreign policy analysis, I got a C. International organizations course, I got a D, and political economy of international relations, which I got a C. Now, this is a truly very flashy looking academic transcript, which in today's GPA environment, I'm truly embarrassed to show off. I don't know when you calculate a GPA, what the score will be. So imagine if that was because those courses were taught by academics. Now, imagine if we had a practitioner invited to provide us his or her experience during the courses of my studies at uni. I would most probably be showing off my A's to you all now on the transcript. It's a joke, but when you seriously look at it, we need a balance between this configuration. So if you're asking of the middle ground, this is the middle ground. This picture is a fine example of the middle ground, where academics and practitioners are working together for a common national interest. So this is one example of the middle ground, bringing all our resources, human resources, into one place to exchange ideas on the best way forward for a national activity. So you can see Dr. Sani there, Mr. Yegiora, Dr. Wallap Momi at the background is a former colleague of mine, Dixon Susug, myself in front, and sadly the late Anton Sil at the back. Anton Sil was one of the very few Papuans who had a master's in international relations from the United Kingdom. He sadly passed away last week. So practical training and internships. Another option of the middle ground is to have internships, where you provide a pathway of entry into the PNG Foreign Service. You have senior foreign service officers supervising case studies at universities, your case studies in the earlier part of this semester, a lot of value would have been added if you had been in relation with 7 foreign service officers guiding you along. Or we have regular seminars on international relations issues instituted by in the university programs, and bringing in all the practitioners together to talk and discuss common issues. So it all boils down again to the foreign policy white paper, because the white paper will direct the pathway upon which the case studies can be focused upon. There is no use having an intensive program which have no focus in international relations. A PNG Institute of International Relations would be a dream come true for everyone. This could congregate all academics and practitioners, former and current, under one roof to drive PNG's foreign policy agenda forward, while spewing out suitably trained foreign service officers ready to take the field and play. You see, this could be an opportunity or an idea which the Diwan University could initiate in conjunction with international with interested government agencies. Note, I say this because note that nearly all policy seminars so far have been initiated by Australian partners, namely the ANU, the Australian National University. Where do Papua New Guinea universities stand in supporting the middle ground? So this is a hands-on experiences with intensive programs. This is a Business Council of Papua New Guinea intensive program called Fresh Pro. So this interns are all UPNG students of all streams. Besides being part of the program, are also applying. They've already applied for some of the scholarships under the Business Council banner. So here they have been asked to present their research topics, but based within the parameters of the Business Council 5-year strategic intent, 2022 to 2027. So they also do write-up for the Business Council conferences, organized meetings. They write diplomatic notes, reports, cabinet submissions, which I taught them, and under similar arrangement. Interns could be participating in foreign service programs, which could be doing the same as well, Those are the middle ground. So the attitude of the practitioner, is it open mind or tunnel vision? See, an open-minded practicing diplomat would be keeping very close to academia, because the academia has is trained to research. As a practitioner, most practitioners will just look at the executive summary and then go forward based on their experiences. You see, in multilateral settings such as APEC or the WTO or the Pacific Forum, everyone who presents papers there for the other economists, not Papua New Guinea basically, most of all, but for the economists, they are mostly academics. Or unless it's a foreign service officer presenting, he or she would have a research background. So from my personal experience in the APEC space, despite our aptitude to research, the practitioner's aptitude to research, when we were setting up for APEC 28, in both Ambassador Ivan Pomalu and I felt secured during our bilateral engagements at APEC in-official meetings or ministers. If we had Dr. Billy Manoka or Dr. Sanida or Dr. Turia or Dr. Mulong or even Professor Lohi Matainaho around the area and on calls, because once we brought them into play, they would spew out background information on any particular topic we were after. So between 2014 and 2018, this esteemed academic spearheaded Papua New Guinea's interest at the APEC fora when it came to the MTDP3 or the PNG DSP 2010-2035, I think. So, and through the Operations Plan 2018, which guided the planning of APEC 2018, all these engagements were done in the respective APEC fora engagements. So we have to ask ourselves now, so how do we bring it all in together for Team PNG? all such things are open. Even this is not a question to you. This is a question to all of us. How do we ensure that we bring all those things? All your the case studies you did. How do you see the bottom line would be? How do you bring the whole of the PNG institutions into play, both private sector, academia, NGOs, and the private public sector into play to drive your the foreign policy which you have written up? I'll stop there and open up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ako, for your short and sharp presentation. We now open the floor for questions and comments. We'll go to Valerie first because she was not able to complete a question, two questions, I think, last Friday. So, Ms. Balbe, the virtual microphone is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I have last week I had one comment and two questions, but I think, did you guys get my comment?
No, unfortunately, we had network issue and then the network just went completely off. So, if you could repeat that, that'd be good.
All right. Thank you. So last week's presentation, Mr. Ako presented on our economic statecraft. So my comment was just on how economic statecraft is an important tool for Papua New Guinea to use in its foreign policy. So PNG has many natural resources and is a key location in the Pacific, which can help it build good relationships with other countries through trade, investment, and aid. So using economic tools wisely can help PNG grow its economy and gain more influence in the region. However, I believe PNG needs to be careful to avoid becoming too dependent on other countries or losing control over our decision making. So if PNG plans its economic action well, it can protect its interests, support its development, and become stronger in the global community. So that's just my comment on Mr. Ako's presentation. Moving on to my question, I'll ask my first question, and then later, after Mr. Ako responds, I can ask my second. So my first question is, in what ways can Papua New Guinea leverage economic statecraft to influence regional diplomacy and promote sustainable development within the Pacific?
One of the best ways PNG did that was after the 1980 Vanuatu engagement. So when they finished, when the Vanuatu crisis was solved, and when they came back, PNG did not stop there, but it started providing development cooperation aid to Vanuatu. It started by even training up to 300 of its security forces. It provided education aid and all that. So that was a good start for Papua New Guinea to build upon, to drive its foreign policy in the region of active and selective engagement. Unfortunately, along the way, the directions the pathways followed became different. So that would be my way of answering that question. So one way of doing that now, you see, is to do that in the current context. Maybe attend engagements in the Pacific Island Forum and look at what pillars are there to be supported, and then go ahead and support it. I mean, that's what the developed economies do in international multilateral forums such as APEC. They go in and APEC has APEC has funds to support regional economic integration, to support HR, to support all types of a couple of programs. And these developed economies, they put funding into there to support the capacity building. So those will be some of the ways we can do it. We have the experience, you know. We Papua New Guineans attend capacity building training either domestically or internationally every year. So there shouldn't be any excuse of saying we don't have the lack of we don't have the capability to do it. We have it. I assume it's just the drive of governance and leadership. So I'll answer your question that way.
Thank you, Mr. Ako. So my second question and last question is, how has economic statecraft shaped Papua New Guinea's international relations and economic partnership over the years?
Do that, but just the full.
When you look at that, you refer back to international aid and development cooperation, which PNG has received since 1975. And then you will that will give you an idea of how development cooperation and the institution of this development partners foreign policy through their development aid has shaped Papua New Guinea's development agenda over the years. You see, when you, for instance, you look at the current immigration system, it all came about through the PNG Australia Immigration and Citizenship Computerization Project in 1994. And I can say that with conviction because I was the liaison officer of this program. So in the past, if you came to customs or immigration at the airport, you got your passport stamped also. And it's still stamped, but in the past, visas were what they call wet stamp. You put a stamp and you sign, put the dates, blah, blah, blah. So this program provided and so the PNG had an electronic visa system, which has evolved into what it is now. Okay, but in that funding arrangement, it was to be done through counterpart funding also. So the development partner put in X amount, then the other partner, the recipient, put in this amount. So that was done on a balanced basis. But along the way, as a financial constraint started inhibiting our movement, we started seeking more reconfiguration of that equation. So that's how the carrots worked. So the carrots then slowly turn into sticks also, because then look at where we are. It's a stick. We issue visas upon arrival, and you still have to apply for a visa. So we ourselves have to decide whether does it still remain a carrot or is it a stick? That's one of the examples I can see. The others have some are tied aid. Those would be on the border of carrot and sticks, tied aid. Or you look at the Asian Development Bank and its awarding of projects.
Should send that fact sheet to Paul.
A couple of years ago, you would be surprised to see that the success rate of ADB projects in the country were very abysmal. Most of them were not did not go over the finishing line, and I guess it depends on the not geopolitics, but depends on who were awarded those contracts. You would be surprised to see that that's how some of the economies play. They don't go directly to bilateral; they go to multilateral. So they go to donor-funded projects to apply for contract, and then they come into the third country and implement those projects.
More detailed one.
That's the reason why you will know. We'll continue to know that in most quotas with regards to the NRLB, it will not the country no can plan in noise because all play a different angle. No, country we know so well. Okay, it's a gone. A flooding. All contractors been pull up the ADB.
She asked you if you could feedback on that.
So there are third or fourth phases to support to achieve an outcome. It's not only the phase one, as people in rugby union would call it. You don't just run a phase 1 and 2 and then hand over the ball. No, some phases go beyond 40. They continue peak and go, they maul it, but the ball is still in their position. When you look at the rugby union example, it's a good way of looking at carrots and sticks and the $8. So long as you hold in ball, you can do whatever you want with it. You can hold the ball, rock and roll, or all that, because the ball is in your. You have possession of the ball, and that's what most of these a couple of these particular economies, whom we know so well, are doing. They're playing it. They're providing their economic assistance directly, and then in another instance, there's also will go on bid or big contract multilateral organizations within the country running contracts over here. You can do your Google your research and find out which countries those are.
Okay, thank you to Valerina, Mr. Ako. Our next person is Stella Marie. After Stella Marie, we have Nobatina, Sweden, and then Michael. Stella Marie, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Yagura. And thank you, Mr. Ako. So I have 3 comments from last week's presentation. The first one is, I did not know much about sticks and carrots, and I found out that sticks and carrots are metaphors commonly used in policy and economics. That's comment 1. On to my second comment, it is based on carrots, and an example that Mr. Ako gave was labor mobility scheme. And an example that I found was the recognized seasonal employer scheme in New Zealand that Papua New Guineans take part in for 7 months to 11 months. And onto my third comment is based on sticks. And an example that Mr. Ako gave during his presentation was export or travel bans. And an example that I found was on customs penalty notice system by the PNG Customs Service, and the purpose is to penalize importers or exporters for false or misleading declarations. So those are my 3 comments from last week's presentation. For today's presentation, I have 1 question, and it reads, what is the PNG practitioners, their interpretation of national interest in the absence of an updated foreign policy white paper? Thank you.
That is a very interesting question. So, national interest at international engagement is not just a thought up. You keep in your head and go. What the Foreign Service does is that when you attend an international engagement, you go with a brief. There's a brief before you attend a meeting. So that brief is usually endorsed by your superiors, even right up to the deputy secretary level, to look at the brief and to consider that it's in line with current practices or current circumstances or current geopolitical configurations, and then you current this brief go to meeting and you speak exactly from there. So in the absence of it is not in the absence of a foreign policy white paper, in the availability of an outdated foreign policy white paper. Maybe that's a correct term we can use, because the 1982 white paper was never how to say cancelled or what. No, it still remains valid right up to now until the new foreign policy paper white paper comes in September and supersedes that. So anybody would be any PNG official would be crazy to go to international meeting without a brief. And those briefs are not just written up. They are result of what they call interagency meetings. So from the interagency meetings, I think the foreign affairs are entrusted to write it, but they get inputs from those agencies for particular agendas, you see. So before you attend a meeting, what do? We have an agenda. For instance, our agenda for this meeting is what? It is discussing, having a conversation on academia versus practitioner. So if this agenda for the last 30, 40 minutes was not of interest to you and I, we would not be in this meeting. So I came to this meeting with my brief, and my brief was the PowerPoint presentation. I would have been crazy to just come and choose zero and start talking, because I would have just got lost or got diverted along the way and ended up somewhere in a different direction. So in the absence of an updated foreign policy white paper, or even with a foreign policy white paper, there is always briefs which participants bring with them to all meetings.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Stella Marie, and thank you, Mr. Ako. We will move on to our next person on the list, Nobatina.
Thank you, Mr. Yagira. Good morning to you all once again. I have two comments to make in regards to last week's presentation. I acknowledge that the presentation was based on economic statecraft, but in your presentation, you made a mention of cybersecurity. So that's what my comments will focus on. For my first comment, you made a mention, Mr. Ako, you made a mention that cybersecurity was virtually non-existent as a policy concern in 1982. This is something that I agree with. Today, as we all know, it has changed. The digital landscape has transformed dramatically. So with the integration of digital infrastructure into government departments, finance, and defense system, cybersecurity now directly impacts national sovereignty. So what I'm trying to say is PNG must not only catch up with the integration of digital infrastructure, but it must also build capacity to counter cybersecurity threats. Secondly, you made a call for interdepartment collaboration. Cybersecurity cannot be the sole responsibility of the Department of ICT and NICTA. So again, this is something that I agree with. It requires coordination among all sectors, including education, law enforcement, and even foreign affairs, for cybersecurity to be well implemented. So a whole collaborative government approach is essential to ensure that implementation is done effectively. Moving on to my questions, I have two questions to ask. The first one is, how does the PNG government coordinate foreign aid and investments from multiple powers such as China and Australia without being pulled into geopolitical rivalry? And secondly, how does PNG ensure that transparency in foreign aid and infrastructure projects are maintained when funded by China or Australia? Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for those questions. The government coordinates foreign aid through the Department of National Planning and Monitoring. That's the department that has been tasked to coordinate all foreign aids that are coming in. Now, in terms of your question number two, the management of the aid is done through agreements. So you sit down, you negotiate the aid, and then you agree what's going to come and what's not to come, and what will come and go where, what will, the specifics of the foreign aid agreement. For instance, when you like the Australian aid, it is driven through its international aid contractors like DT Global, Apt Global. Those are the companies that and other companies. The government will say, okay, we have now awarded a $200 million foreign aid assistance to Papua New Guinea. Who's going to go and how can we go and deliver it? So the contracting companies start bidding for it, and they're saying, okay, this is how we'll deliver it. In terms of education, this is what we will do. In terms of economy, this is what we'll do. In terms of health, this is what we'll do. So they put all their bids. The government considers them and awards the bid, and then that's how these contracting companies come in and they run the programs for them. JICA and Chinese aid, I think they're different. This is a direct engagement with the Department of National Planning to carry those engagement out. So I'll answer both of your questions like that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nobatina and Mr. Ako. Our next person on the line is, in line is Sweden, Mr. Cook.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. So I have two questions. One for this week and today's, and one for the last week presentation. So for the last week presentation regarding economic statecraft as a foreign policy tool in PNG, I would like to ask you a question regarding the Chinese business in PNG. Are there any policies that limit them to operate to a certain level? For example, like the Chinese stores, they are investing in both retail and wholesale. So, is there any policies that that limits them in investing in this business or business activities? So that's my first question regarding the presentation, last week presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. The Restricted Business Act, which has been, I don't know the outcome. I think it's still, it's been passed by Parliament, or I can't really place it, but that act, which is been spearheaded by the Departments of Investment Promotion Authority and I think Commerce and Industry, those are that is the law that will bind the restrictions of companies and business engagement by foreigners in this country. But there are we have laws covering that. You have Department of Labor and Industrial Relations that covers. There are restricted rules, restricted jobs that are only allowed for Papua New Guineans who can apply for. Of course, we have heard and read from the newspapers that these laws been twisted to benefit foreigners, but we have laws that cover it. I think it's the enforcement aspect of it that we will need to have more support in. I'll answer it that way.
Thank you. Now for today's question, as a practitioner, what are some of the interesting things you have come across when collaborating with the academics?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I had tons of experiences, like the last 5 years. I've been that's the number one of them all. The last 5 years I've been partnering and coexisting with a university called Divine Word University in running a program like this. And I am not aware of such such an engagement being replicated in other universities. I know from my time from my 4 years between 1990, I even forgot days, 1988 and 1992, that no, we did not have any practitioners coming to talk about the experiences. Or maybe they did, I wouldn't know because my priorities were different. But my biggest plus of all with this academia versus practitioner is this program. You see, through this program, Mr. Aguirre has gone out and brought in other practitioners such as Philemon from Foreign Affairs, our other colleague from the UN DP, and others which we plan to bring on board again this year to support it. And that is what we are driving at. No, you get taught the theory, and then you have the practicing aspect. So if we were doing a course now, if we were doing a certificate course now, this would be your take-home exercises, role-playing practitioners, how to go about doing that, all that. And at the end of it, we do an assessment, mark you down as competent or not yet competent, and issue a certificate of having participated in a foreign policy formulation exercise. So this is the best thing that has ever happened. Others that I've gone through is I've been on delegations where academics have been part of, but they did not participate to their full extent. Maybe because the briefings did not include them back home, or they just came, everyone just went for the ride, or maybe the agendas were not for their engagement, but all just campus because they were invited. No. Before to the APEC experiences, you see, we were talking about HR, we were talking about business impact, about market access. So those were in the purview of Dr. Billy Manoka, and then when we were talking about forestry in the forestry working groups, we brought in Dr. Turia because she was at the PNG Forest Association, because they knew the nitty-gritty of it. So they wrote up the briefs, which we eventually brought down to the leaders' meetings for Prime Minister O'Neill to talk about. So those are how it developed. When you look at the 1981 foreign policy formulation, it was a joint effort between practitioners and academics through Renagi Lohia and the late Renagi Lohia and Professor Ted Wolfers. That was an engagement, and then you bring it forward to us this last 2 years with the current foreign policy white paper initiative. People like Mr. Aguirre and a lot of other qualified academics were not involved in the formulation of it. And that is the prerogative of the government. Okay, they decided that they were saying, okay, these people priorities are different. Let's just do it this way. You and I will have our opinions from that, but the government has its prerogative, and that's how we decided to move that one. So those are some of the experiences. And then even academics have participated in workshops, providing their ideas and thoughts. You look at Dr. Huala Momi, he was still an officer at DHES when he was participating in the APEC HR working group engagements, and he came up with he actually put in a policy paper which got endorsed, and it's now part of the APEC system when he was still an officer there. So there's a lot of advantages and pluses which the Papua New Guinea academics have done in international relations in line with advancing Papua New Guinea's national interest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sweden, and thank you, Mr. Ako. We'll now listen to Michaeline.
Good morning, Mr. Ako and Mr. Yeager and everyone. I have 2 comments and 2 questions based on last week's presentation. So my first comment is economic statecraft has emerged as a vital tool in international relations, leveraging economic incentives and disincentives to achieve foreign policy objectives, particularly in today's interconnected world where traditional military power is often less effective. My second comment is on my point of view on economic statecraft. Statecraft can be a double-edged sword for our country, PNG, potentially leading to unequal relationships and expectations by more powerful economic partners. While we may benefit from short-term economic gains, this risk compromises our long-term interest and sovereignty. Moving on to my first question, given PNG's strategic position in the Pacific and its influence on foreign assistance, I'm curious about how different tools of economic statecraft influence its decision. And my second question, location makes it an attractive partner for foreign investors and trading partners. However, how can PNG balance its economic interest with its social and environmental responsibilities? Thank you.
I think to answer both of your questions in one would be going back to the MTDP4. And from the MTDP4, we can pick out the priorities. When you look at SPA 12, yeah, SPA 11, SPA 12, I think on international relations and partnership, it lists everything down there. I think there are five engagement areas which covers balancing those things. And it's all about bringing a lot of variables and a lot of variables into one big grouping, and then we are probably going to ask, so how do we what type of group do you bring, what type of grouping do you bring all those variables in? That grouping sabe you now, and that grouping depends on the foreign policy white paper, and it goes under those pillars, the pillars you have. So if there are 7 pillars covering particular, those 7 pillars become groupings. And then from there, you start mapping out how are you going to bring in this particular group of investors in this particular sector, and then put them under that grouping. And then you work your way up, so that by the end of that project cycle, when the project has been implemented and achieved, you would have also contributed towards achieving whatever pillar you put the group in under, and the foreign policy is being advanced. I did not get your first question properly. I hope I've answered both of them, but please repeat the first question again, because I thought it had some interesting connotations to it.
Okay, my first question is, given PNG's strategic position in the Pacific and its influence on foreign assistance, I'm curious about how different tools of economic statecraft influence its decision.
Yeah. Okay. So I've answered both of them. So it goes together with the MTDP4, and now that once we have the new foreign policy white paper comes up, it will complement one another. And we have to be mindful of the fact that which departments are going forward with the actual driving of it internationally must be steadfast and must be firm in ensuring that we stay to our true course. When you at an APEC meetings and there's this drafting session going on for the ministerial statements or the leaders' declaration, countries, certain economies will say, no, me plan na supporting. Why? Because their foreign policy does not cover that. Although personally you like supporting, but the national game plan talk, no, we are not going to support this. So you mentioned that. There's a reason why countries end up in deadlock, because they are driving their two different foreign policies bumping and clashing, and you can't find common ground. And once you can't find common ground, you either leave it at that, or if it concerns border issues, and people go to war. So being a diplomat, you have to be well read, kind something. you must know at least something of that particular topic. No, and I still remember my time. I was in China, and one minister visited, and he asked me what was the uh, square kilometer of Papua New Guinea. Missy grab him head. I didn't know, and he answered it for me in front of the Chinese. So you have to know all of that. I think I can't remember, but I don't know. It must be 760,000 square kilometers. Or I sort of been memorizing for goodness stuff. But right now we're listening to but all those things. No, you can't go on a foreign policy post not knowing those things. And just because it wasn't part of your briefing, it's not a good excuse. Or I went on my first official engagement in China without a suit. And Ambassador Rai, the perfect diplomat he is, I'm not happy. I'm just Lucy Midla run. I only went with a tie and a long sleeve because I didn't have a suit. And then after a meeting with the Cargo Bank, I'm the first secretary, you down in Mitalilik, because when to Ambassador, sorry, me, what you more land last and no delivery, but make sure that that's part and parcel of international relations. You must wear a suit. So those are the two things that I know. Another third thing too was the alignment of the flag law #1 card. I mean, those are the things Ambassador Rai told me. The flag law card, yeah, I mean, I'm saying was on the VIP round lane, but the flag stop on side and VIP 2 sinando sa side lo backside, not opposite sides. So those are the things I can remember very correctly. Or another time I was in brief, I was a protocol officer. My stupid times, I was only 1 year into the foreign service. Migration officer, sorry, me no foreign service officer. Migration officer, 1993. Migration officer, I think there was an international engagement here. International engagement, all finding more protocol officers. So foreign affairs number so all kissing more rough magilo migration guantap. And we are used to dealing at the airport with customers, going on small ops with our operation guys to look for overstayers now all this. So we all dressed up now go on. The ladies in the office were making fun of us, but people go on. And then I was waiting for my principal to arrive. So my principal arrived, and we came, and while he was still shaking hands with everyone, me kalapinis lo car lo backside na wet stuff. So the late Mr. Allen said the protocol officer came, and once he saw me in the car, and get up, get up, get up, get up. We can open double money. So open double boss and VIP Calab go. And after that, they called me to the you did a stupid thing. Are you the principal? How can you sit in the car and wait for the principal to open his own door? And so those are some of the things I thought of. So I'm all stopped ahead. So when I went on post, or even right up to now, I still extended courtesy. If the staff officer walk on in, and if there's a senior person in front, I will stand up when he or she arrives. Sit down. When she leaves to go, I will stand up and escort her out. It becomes inbuilt because of those stupidity or those not good experiences I had in my initial years. So I think we digressed a bit, but in terms of managing those investments, that's how we would have approached them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ako, and thank you all those who have taken the time to share questions and comments. I really enjoyed listening to your comments as well. You added value to what we've been discussing. And we also thank Mr. Ako for his time. We will stop here. But we'll continue on Friday with Philip, Rafaela, Jeffrey, Lamonai, Jerome, Kaylin, Richelin, Valerie, and Audrey. In our Friday session, we'll continue with them. Continue with the questions and comments. But this time we'll do it differently from last week. We'll let Mr. Ako present first, and then we'll open the floor for questions and comments this Friday, including Amy. Okay, Amy as well added to the list.
But Mr. Aguirre,
Okay.
please don't let me stop all of you from the students from sending me emails. on questions or anything, just Salim come. Because we have limited time on here, so not everyone's going to get a chance. So we have to keep on pushing others to the next engagement. So if there are any urgent questions and you want to do, just Salim come. I'll answer them. It's my pleasure to do that. No worries.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ako.
All right.
That's good. I'm glad with this, Mr. Ako. All right, then, that's all. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We'll stop here and we'll let all of you go, and we'll reconvene or meet again on Friday to continue the discussion. So you all have a pleasant day, and
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Ako, once again for your time.
Bye. Thank
Enjoy
you,
your-
everyone. School good. Bye.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day as well. All right. Bye-bye.